I thought I was the only one eager about Muhammad Hijab and Jordan Peterson's dialogue being uploaded, but as soon as it was put on YouTube, it became apparent how the whole world was waiting for it. And then there were response videos posted promptly following the upload of the discourse by many YouTubers. I personally do not watch Jordan Peterson much, mainly because I get bored by videos focused on telling you how to think and behave, and secondly, I have little interest in philosophy, and I'm not familiar with a lot of the language and terminology he may use. I'm not an academic, so my linguistic competence is pretty low in comparison. I was never a big reader, but I have totally stopped reading now with the mild symptoms of dementia kicking in, which is impacting my reading and writing ability. I once saw a video by Jordan Peterson, which was in English, obviously, but he may well have been speaking another language as far as I was concerned. There was all these words that I'd never heard in my life. I was literally laughing at the end of it over how most common people would not have been able to make sense of what he was saying, despite them having a fair grasp on the English language. Daniel Hakikaju's view on the dialogue between Hijab and Peterson was different to that of most, and was very to the point. It's funny how he was the only one to acknowledge Jordan Peterson's liberalist tendencies, or at least I've not yet come across anyone else who's picked up on the points that Hakikaju did. Yes, Jordan Peterson was cordial, as was Muhammad Hijab, which was a good thing. But the thing that uh, is most relevant to me is Jordan Peterson's distrust of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I feel that if, as Muslims, we try and do justice to our relationship with God and His prophets, peace and blessings be upon them, every other relationship would fall into its correct place automatically. It's impossible for one to be able to satisfy the relationship with everyone, especially when they're all heading in different directions with their ideals. Jordan Peterson may have many strengths and personal qualities, but his relationship with those that trust Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam as Rahmatul lil Alameen without doubt would be defined by his distrust and doubt towards Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Every quality he may possess becomes irrelevant to us because of how major and stark this difference is. Muslims are meant to behave in a civilized manner by default, so there's no necessity to adhere to cultural factors in order to be cordial in discourse with those that are willing to listen to you. I believe that there is some culturalism in play in the responses uh, that we've seen by so many Muslims in relation to this dialogue. I don't deny that Jordan Peterson has been good in how he was non-hostile and non-combatant, but the fact that his sentiments towards the person most important and dear to us don't match ours remains relevant. For so many Muslims to feel honored over being given the opportunity to clarify our position is somewhat out of order. Yes, his attitude, the attitude with which Jordan Peterson engaged in the dialogue was really noble on his part, but it is a little premature for Muslims to put so much hope and faith in him. Muhammad Hijab had made a couple of prior videos responding to Jordan Peterson's comments, so the two of them were aware of the points that were to be addressed in the brief discourse, and there were many points there to be discussed, so not enough time was available for Muhammad Hijab to have fully clarified the Muslim position regarding Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam's engagement in wars, or the circumstances and conditions of the wars that took place following the passing of Nabi Pak Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I do believe that some of the Islamic theologians and should have uploaded detailed response expanding on the explanations that Muhammad Hijab presented. I think time limited how much Muhammad Hijab could say, could have said regarding the insinuation that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam's family actively sought wars. Given the fact that I'm not a historian or a theologian, I'm not able to recall names and dates from the top of my head, and with the dementia creeping in, it makes it just a little more difficult too. I would have to commit some time to researching to give a detailed response on how the family of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam were peaceful people, as was Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, rahmatan lil alameen. In this video, I will give a brief response, sharing one example here, that of Hadhrat ZainulAbideen, Islamullah, the grandson of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was the last of Nabi Pak Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam's surviving descendants at that time. He witnessed 72 members of his family and relations tormented and then brutally murdered in Karbala, and then witnessed continued mistreatment of his aunt, but he did not avenge those responsible for this. At some point, Hadhrat ZainulAbideen was held prisoner by someone, and a person that visited him saw him in chains, and aggrieved, the visitor stated that had you not seen enough sorrow to now be having to go through this? Hadhrat ZainulAbideen, Islamullah, freed himself from the chains and explained to the person that it's not the chains that restricted him, but rather he had submitted his will to what God had ordained for him to endure. I do want to make clear here that the events of Karbala were not a war from the Muslim side. The Yazidi side was a different case, but from as far as the Ahl-e-bait, the family of Nabi Pak sallallahu alaihi wasallam were concerned, they had not planned a war. Had Hazrat Imam Hussain radiallahu ta'ala anhu, the grandson of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, wanted to wage a war, the option was available to him. He stood for the truth, peace and correctness, and was martyred for it. His martyrdom left a greater impact for all humanity to come, where he led by example that you stand with the truth and justice in all conditions and at all cost. Hazrat Fatima radiallahu anha, Hazrat Imam Hassan radiallahu anhu, Hazrat Imam Hussain radiallahu anhu, Hazrat Bibi Zainab, and Hazrat ZainulAbideen, Islamullah alayhim, did nothing to suggest that they were a family of warlords. It's pretty obvious, pretty clear. I do not see what gives Jordan Peterson the impression that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's family were tyrannic warriors. Jordan Peterson suggested that it may be more moral to present the other cheek when struck on one. How is condoning and facilitating of injustice a moral thing? One may suffer from injustice, but they become unjust when they become submissive to it. One has the right to forgive injustice done to them, but by presenting your other cheek, you are condoning and encouraging injustice and misguiding the oppressor by facilitating his narcissism, causing others to become vulnerable before them? Is it more moral to fight the oppressor, to protect the oppressed, or to become oppressed and empower the oppressor? When it comes to personal suffering, Muslims can be forgiving, but when it comes to establishing social order to ensure others don't face injustice, it's incumbent upon us to fight the unjust. That is the only ethical solution. This fight may come uh, through words, through legislature, or through military. Uh, I mean, public militants. I mean, that Islam never condones that. But the as far as the army is concerned, Islam does not condemn wars when they're for just reasons. I do appreciate the respectful manner in which Jordan Peterson approached the dialogue, but do believe he has a tunnel vision perspective. I don't think he can learn the truth without unlearning what culture has conditioned him to believe.